dead list. Cabin of the Blackamoor Jenny. Tom writes in the ship's book. The surgeon dictates, cleaning and gathering his bloody tools into a bag.
Nicholas, before the mast, with an intermittent fever. Mr. Young, apprentice sailmaker, with a bilious fever. The armourer died. The cook died. The carpenter, with a headache but refused medicine, died. Jack Reynolds died. Jack Strawn with a diarrhea. Harry with the bloody flux. The boy, Peter, died.
The surgeon stops, gazing in air as if trying to remember someone. Tom waits a moment.
Should we not record the cause of death in all cases?
By all means, Purser. Your guess is as good as mine.
Does that complete the dead list?
The surgeon gestures for him to continue writing.
To date, 5th of March, 1792. Arrived at our moorings at the mouth of the Niger with 47 crew. In 3 weeks of our stay on the coast, 11 sewn in their hammocks and committed. And a further 7 took ill with exhaustion and fever. The rump of our crewman stalked by the Yellow Jack, a murderous fellow, somewhat shadowy in appearance. His attack made even more terrible by the ivory yellowness of his skin and teeth, and the suddenness of death on his approach. Officers of the afterguard being, of course, exempt.
Tom has stopped writing. He crosses out and turns the book toward the surgeon.
Sign here.
Mr. Jones, surgeon.
What's this?
The captain enters.
Drawing up the dead list, sir.
Waste work. The cargo's not complete. I want my men up and doing.
The dead?
Sarcasm, surgeon. Your knife were better honed in finding cures.
The best cure's to be away on open sea. The crew need air, and food, and rest, to be better provisioned and out of the way of the coast. This is hopeless.
No work, no food. We go nowhere without a full haul.
You can't starve sick men.
You argue with me?
Without a crew, Captain, we're stuck.
The captain strikes down the surgeon, wounding him in the head. Tom, in shock, instinctively bends to him.
Leave him! Die and be damned!
Tom hesitates, then disobeys. He helps the surgeon back onto a chair. The surgeon takes a swab from his bag and holds it to the wound. He looks at the captain.
Not dead, Captain Knox, sir. You may chance to need me yet.
Sir, with the sickness, depletion of our stores, no slaves to buy the factories, and none being brought down to them, we cannot wait much longer. It's my duty as purser to tell you so. We must make a decision. Stay or go. What will you do?
What more slaves do we need to make us profitable?
Another 60. We have 286, or thereabouts. With no further losses, we could break even. Should sickness begin to rot our cargo at the same rate as the crew, it would be a losing voyage for you and my uncle.
Show me the account. Surgeon, go examine the Negroes aboard, what state they're in. Report how many can make the crossing. I'll decide what's needed.
The captain turns to inspect the ship's accounts. The surgeon throws down his swab and rises shakily, still bleeding from the head.
Surgeon, are you up to it?
I have my doubts.
The surgeon takes up his bag and looks at Tom.
Do you?
I doubt you were made for this trade. I cannot afford to doubt myself.
The slaves are waiting.
Keep your head, Mr. Jones. that I may give you the chance to mend it?
The surgeon goes. Tom sits back with the ship's accounts. The captain paces.
As of now, it's clear. The Jenny must make a losing voyage.
The captain kicks over a chair.
Our hands are bound by the factories, their prices, slaves, scarce. We cannot trade freely in anything with the natives. In my opinion, she must always make a losing voyage.
As for your opinion, purser, give me facts.
On current prices, a shortfall of above £100 sterling. Bound to be a losing voyage.
Bound? Bound where? Bound to a profit for any further command. Bound to nothing. Open the book. I'll bind her, for she leaks my profit. Aye, bound, with one bound for home and home on profit. What wages?
400 in Spanish dollars, 400 in pound sterling on our return to Liverpool.
Subtract for deaths?
We pay wages for the dead.
Then we plank the sick down on the West India wharfs with half their pay. How lightens that the standing of our profit?
The crew's contracted for a return voyage.
Profit's what we carry home, and no man comes on freight.
Their contract is for half, the better half, in sterling, on our return. We can't plank down half dead. Our crew's depleted as it is.
There's 10 strong men for every one that's gone, to take up slack and haul a passage home.
The balance of their lives thrown in for profit.
Banging and shouts are heard.
Come on!
What's going on? Come on!
They strike! Damn you! Close it! Shut the hatch!
Tom and the captain pass from the cabin to the deck. They meet the boatswain, dragging a slave, handcuffed and thumb-screwed in praying position, both legs shackled and stumbling. The boatswain pulls on the chain attached to a collar about the neck. There is a grill over the head, open at the mouth, making the slave faceless.
Bosun, what's here?
Learn by example. What is customary to do? Stand back.
They won't eat.
Bosun stands behind, forcing back the head, and inserts a speculum oris into the slave's mouth, a vice with forward blade and backward hooks.
The thumb screws to take out the stubbornness. This opens his mouth. Stand back. Grubs up. I promise we won't eat you.
The surgeon enters, drenched in sweat, his head still bloody and his shoes off. The soles of his feet leave imprints of blood across the deck. He approaches and pulls open an eye of the slave, lifts and drops the jaw, and examines the rusted chain around the neck, finding a chafed wound.
This isn't hunger. It's locked jaw.
Tom sees the surgeon's feet and looks at the trail of blood across the deck.
Where are your shoes?
It's impossible to go amongst them with my shoes on. They lie so close together, I should have hurt them if I did. I have the mark upon my feet of skin and blood, of effluence, the putrefaction of their lying in the 'tween decks.
What condition are they in? Can they make the crossing?
Am I to recreate man from slime? I cannot do it!
The cabin boy appears, silent. Tom looks uneasily about. He speaks in a whisper.
Quiet. The men are listening.
I have known them to go down well, and in the morning be brought up dead. I have sat by the gratings and felt the burst of heat and suffocation from their rooms, as if I sat by a fire in the torrid zone. It is the most horrid sight I have ever seen. It is the deformation of flesh, a vat of blood and mucus. It is the boiling coast.
It's the knock on the head.
This is disobedience.
This is hell!
The captain hesitates, a moment of indecision. They watch him. He pushes aside the surgeon and turns to the boatswain.
Unlock the armory, boatswain.
Aye, aye, sir.
Give every man his gun. I'll wait no more on the factories. A bounty of 1 guinea for every Negro captured to be shared among the crew. We sail tonight on the land wind.
This action is illegal.
I am the law here. Beyond my words, the coast, where there is no law, only banished men. Take action to defend the ship. We can save ourselves and be out at sea by morning. 1 guinea.
The captain looks at the slaves slumped on the deck.
Clear that off the deck. Make ready.
The ship's bell rings for action. The captain goes. The cabin boy gives his shoulder to the surgeon and leads him away. The boatswain takes hold of the chain and drags the slave past Tom.
Look to me as we go, purser. There's no one looking over our shoulder when we set foot there. No classes of men at all. Only those who don't know what hell is, or don't believe in it, or don't believe they're in it.
The boatswain drags away the slave.
We steal by force.
Tom goes, the bell ringing.
When I was sent the brief by Speaking Volumes to submit a poem, I looked at the brief and I said straight away, I said, I need to write about a memory. And the memory was, I was in Arabic school, so I used to go to Arabic school on the weekend. I felt it quite threatening and very intimidating because I started to lose the language of Arabic. And that, and I started to blame my teacher for not teaching us properly. But what that is diaspora. This is what it means to be the diaspora. Because what happens is you start to integrate and you start to sacrifice one thing for the other, or it starts to blend. And that's what I wanted to do in this poem, and this is why I called it Pilgrimage, because when you travel from one place to another, it's a journey, but in some journeys we leave things behind and some we take things with us. What is that transition from one place to another, between survival and living? Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that we can connect, and do buy the anthology because it's great. And let me know what you think of my piece, The Pilgrimage. We kissed at the border, but you stole my heart, offering it to Najran. But I was too young to understand this warfare love story when my tongue is tied to the English home. But we lose ourselves in our peculiar summer pilgrimages to a place elsewhere. But only the diaspora, cross-legged children understand, slurring basic Arabic letters across the cabinet classroom. Your teacher, tall as you, pointing her nose upwards. Never lose yourself in this place, even if you lose yourself. But these children daydream of abstract checkpoints of stick men in uniform confessing to the moon with their flags stuck upright. We search for our home in our radical love letters across the English Channel, pushing the French waters when the lifeguard sleeps. We recreate the kiss of the border, rotted in abandonment, stuttering its national anthem. It turns in its grave, and the invaders prowling in your summer journeys is a love story missing. So the school bell rings, The children unpack their tuna butties and Smart Price orange juice, speaking over each other in their second language. With their mouths full, they suck the life out of them straws, turning sideways.
Not quite right for us. I have encountered these words so many times in the publishing world where they're usually tossed around, but they haven't left much of a mark on me. I have come to conflate this phrase with another: this just won't do. Both spoken by a particular kind of gatekeeper, and for me, since childhood, both forming the pivot on which resistance turns. Yet, I had no idea how deeply entrenched this resistance is in me until I started to think about the phrase. This led me to see how many times in my poetry and fiction my speakers have resisted both these notions without conscious thought, I'd like to say, on the part of the writer. People frequently ask me if I'm the child in these stories, and of course I deny it, as I believe all writers should deny any connection with their characters. But now I'm at an age where I can confess that, while the characters are not me and the stories are not mine, they certainly embodied my own lifelong impulse to subvert authority, to challenge fake respectability, to shrug off the gatekeepers of personhood, history, and story. This is what has enabled me to endure a lifetime of writing and publishing on my own terms. My usual mental response to "not quite right for us" being a resounding "no, it is not." This started with requests to rewrite the Jamaican Creole in my first story collection, Summer Lightning, in standard English to make it suitable. And it was finally published without changes by Longman, and Summer Lightning went on to win the first Commonwealth Writers' Prize. It is the quite in that phrase that annoys me, as does the suit in the similar "this just won't suit." Quite seems the sort of word that would be used only by certain people, implying, as it does, queuing, quality, qualifications, inquisition, and the cue for the quiet sign warning you that in this hallowed place you are a barefoot mendicant among the besuited. Quite is gatekeeper doublespeak with a snare that is absent from the straightforward "not right for us," spoken with a particularly plummy accent, and one that has silenced me since childhood, a polished accent of belonging that goes with a perfect place setting. And I can honestly say I have never wanted to sit in that place. Even without the accent, "not quite right" and "this won't suit" or "this just won't do" emanated from people who endorsed certain conservative expectations, especially of girl children at the time I was growing up, and the attributes that they valued, all outward expressions of conformity. Only much later, in adulthood, have I realized how suit is the operative word for the environment I grew up in, one in which appearance trounced substance, where outward respectability masked inner hunger or wicked desires in the rush to be the good colonial subject, where children were groomed and socialized to be right and ripe for the world that awaited, one that imposed a false identity that had nothing to do with us, as I noted in my poem, Colonial Girls' School, since it told us nothing about ourselves. There was nothing about us at all. This poem upset at least one former principal of my girls' school and some of my peers, who see it as slander on that excellent institution, but they miss the point entirely. I was writing about not one, but all our schools, girls and boys, and the curriculum at the time, which was that of English grammar schools. I have said often that I am thankful for the excellent education and the rigorous intellectual grounding that I and people of my generation received from these schools. The critique is not of what was there, but of what was missing, forcing us to fit into a suit not quite right for us because of, let us say, the poor sizing, the lack of detailing, wrong or missing buttons, sewn-up pockets, perhaps the unsuitable color or threadbare finish. Colonial Girls' School remains one of my most popular poems. What is sad is that, although it was written so long ago, when I've had the temerity to say to schoolgirls today, I was writing about my time. I am glad that things have changed with a Caribbean-oriented curriculum, among other things. They quite often assure me, nothing has changed, miss. A lot has changed in our post-independence Caribbean and in our schools, but nothing has changed in our inability to cast off the deep-seated colonial trappings that still reinforce value in the metaphorical suit over the healthy development of the inner life, suit as straitjacket. Mental slavery now is underscored by a new form of colonization. Witness the widespread influence of American Christian fundamentalist religion, which, for instance, in some schools, is placing girls in ankle-length uniforms, inches longer than those we had to wear generations ago in our colonial girls' school. My poem, though, ends on an optimistic note, for isn't it strange how northern eyes in the brighter world before us now pale? Pale northern eyes is referenced earlier in the poem. How those pale northern eyes and aristocratic whispers once erased us. How our loudness, our laughter debased us. As a child growing up in a world of mostly dark-eyed people, I genuinely associated pale northern eyes with the other, though in retrospect, it cannot be the eyes alone, but what they represented, since my father and most of my siblings have light-colored eyes. But the fading influence of the iconic northern eyes marked our emergence into self, my peers and I, as we stepped out into the world. That was true of those of us who hadn't entirely bought into wearing the metaphorical suit anyway, and many did. Since early childhood, I've known that I would be an artist, though what kind and how remained elusive since I had no mentors or guides. In a way, this has suited me, for it has enabled me to pursue my own erratic, bumbling, eccentric, sometimes painful but independent path, one in which not quite right for us can be easily deflected because there are so many paths to self-expression and self-affirmation. I am fully aware that this is not the path for everyone, nor am I advocating it, especially in today's world, where art is more than ever dominated by commercial considerations. Each of us has to decide which path we want to pursue. I like to think, though, that writers are wannabe alchemists, those sage magicians seeking to turn dross to gold, a lifelong striving that might end in futility. The gain is always in the process of finding out. So, if you receive a note saying, "Not quite right for us," it is not the end, merely the beginning. Thank you.
In my lifetime, I have not yet seen an event that has changed the course of history in this way. If this pandemic has highlighted anything, it is that life matters. Not that morning coffee at Pret a Manger, or how your stock portfolio is doing, or which book is going to top the bestsellers list. How did it do that? Well, contrary to what the media would have us believe, it does not discriminate according to class, color, race, sexual orientation, or religion. Its ability to kill has got our full attention. It has brought the global economy to a standstill, international sports to its knees, central business districts are ghost towns. Many companies have hit the wall. The city break is gone. Park life, a thing of the past. You could also say it has toppled a US president. Despite all that, my TV keeps wanting me to buy a new car. The question is, where do I go? The virus has no interest in political rhetoric. A virus is a replicon, a strand of genetic material, either DNA or RNA, surrounded by a protein coat that reproduces itself. This sequence of events is how the virus survives. Scientists believe that half of human DNA came from viruses. This pathogenic organism is not classified as being alive in the stricter sense of the word. The unit of life is the cell, that small room, as the word translates, held together by a membrane that allows all the chemical reactions necessary for life to occur, such as respiration, in a fluid called cytoplasm. These reactions are triggered by the cell's software, which contains at least one chromosome. Viruses, however, have no membrane and do not perform metabolism or respire. In fact, their ability to replicate is only possible inside the host of a living cell. In the case of SARS-CoV-2, which causes COVID-19, that host is us. The virus turns our genetic material against us by reprogramming the cell's DNA and RNA to reproduce the virus's DNA thousands of times before repeating the process in new cells. The virus transports itself via viral shedding. That is to say, it releases itself from an infected host via coughing or sneezing. Those coughs and sneezes have become more spine-chilling than guns. I haven't been into central London since March 2019. My car could do all the wash. For the first time since I've owned it, a tank of petrol has lasted me more than 6 months. My daily run is the only way I get to see the neighborhood. My son did not want to go to the park or ride his BMX. He was scared that his asthma would make him a target for the virus. I've stopped listening to the TV or radio news every day. I could see how it is affecting my family. They sleep longer, they say less at the dinner table, and don't laugh as much. My at-home clothes have become my work clothes. The dinner table, my office. Our life, like many others, has come to resemble a sci-fi horror. The center of town could have been used as the opening scene in 28 Days Later or I Am Legend. This is our new normal. There are a few times in my life when the world stood still. Twice, you could argue. It was a case of the same event repeating itself, the births of my 2 children. When my daughter was born, I shed my boyish ways. I used to burn through money like fire through a field. There was always something that needed buying, someplace I had to be. The world seemed so big, and I seemed so small. But the world stopped revolving around me when my daughter came. As I held her in my arms for the first time in the hospital ward, I remember thinking, I need to make this world a better place for you. When I look at pictures of me before her birth, I hardly recognize myself. I'm not talking about the loss of hair. It was something in the eyes. I worry more, but I'm happier. The man I was and the man I am now are as night and day. My son was almost born in our living room. My wife and I had been up all night when he entered into the world. I had the strangest feeling of being complete, like a finished jigsaw puzzle or a solved Rubik's Cube. Other times when the world stood still for me include watching MTV's premiere of MJ's 13-minute film Thriller in 1983, and when Barack Obama accepted the Democratic Party nomination for president in 2008 in Grant Park, Chicago. These happy moments lasted for a day. COVID-19, on the other hand, is the Groundhog Day that keeps giving, and not in a good way. But now, with all this time available, with a tank full of petrol and nowhere to go, I've realized that there are other recent instances in which the world has stood still. From the moment the US star quarterback Colin Kaepernick stopped standing for the national anthem and lost his job in 2016 to the killing of 46-year-old George Floyd by police in 2020, it seems that viruses come in all shapes and sizes to attack black bodies, freezing our lives and causing our deaths. You might ask, why Kaepernick stands out when the National Football League census data shows that 70% of players are African American, 28% are white, and 4% comprise of Asian or Pacific Islanders and non-specific white Hispanics. First of all, black quarterbacks are unusual. This position is only filled by 17% of black players in the NFL. Kaepernick also outruns most defensive backs and linebackers. A second-round draft pick, he played for the San Francisco 49ers for 6 seasons. In other words, if the NFL is a game of chess, Kaepernick is a king that can move like a knight and a bishop. In 2012, after the 49ers replaced their starting quarterback Alex Smith, Kaepernick led the team to its first Super Bowl appearance since 1994. He took them to within 10 yards of winning Super Bowl 47 and is one of a handful of quarterbacks to record at least 3 passing touchdowns and 100 yards rushing in a game. Kaepernick was living the American dream. But when he took the knee in the 49ers' third preseason game in 2016, he stopped being an elite sportsman and became a symbol and target. Because of this, he will probably never be nominated into the US Pro Football Hall of Fame. Since 2016, he has been a free agent. He is being treated similarly to Muhammad Ali, forced into premature retirement at the height of his powers, training 5 days a week despite his exile. So why was he willing to pay such a price, and why did he choose kneeling as a symbolic gesture?